I live by a spring creek that doesn't obey a straight line. It breaks, it floods, it negotiates with the rocks that it moves around. If your heart kept time like a clock, exactly 60 beats per minute, without a single microsecond of deviation, you would be an organ failure. In cardiology, to have no variability in your heart rate at all is a sign of a failing system. It's fatal. A healthy heart stumbles. It speeds up slightly when you breathe in. It slows down when you breathe out. The grid likes straight lines. Your body does not. Silver Lake, Los Angeles, 1995. 4 rappers and 1 producer take a lunch break. When they come back, 2 grown men end up fighting in the studio floor. A physical fight over a kick drum. The producer was James Yancey, J Dilla. He had programmed a kick drum that didn't land exactly on the beat. It dragged a little bit, maybe 30 or 40 milliseconds late. That was consistent. It was consistent, but it was always a little bit late. Then another rapper in the room, Fat Lip, decided, well, this is not on the beat. So he fixed it. He moved the kick drum so it landed directly on the grid. Quantized. Correct. Dead. No groove. Trey, another member of the Far Side, he heard this and it made his adrenaline shoot right up. His biology actually reacted to that loss of friction. Why? Because we need friction. It's called predictive coding. Your brain is constantly guessing where the next beat will land. Research from Stanton actually shows that your brain dips about 20 milliseconds before the beat actually hits. You're not reacting to the beat, you're actually predicting it. What does that mean? It means neural oscillations in your brain actually shift or dip. They do it in their excitability cycle. In other words, your brain cells kind of go quiet. It's like they're taking a breath right before the beat drops. The idea is that your brain has its own rhythm, just like your heart does. Like it's cycling between being ready to fire and taking a breather. I know, it's hard to explain. That dip is just your brain timing its breather so that it snaps back to attention when the beat hits. That's as good as I can explain it. When a sound lands exactly where it's supposed to land on a grid, on a machine, your body doesn't like it because there's no signal to noise ratio for you to process. When it hits slightly late, when it mimics the stagger of a human breath, your brain reads that as an error, yes, but that's how it's supposed to work. So then it resolves that error. That's what we want to do, be active in fixing things. So your brain sends one command to your body, move. That is the groove. It's the sound of humans constantly correcting for each other's errors. This isn't just about Los Angeles in the early 90s. Chattanooga, Tennessee, 1950s. A kid named Clyde Stubblefield learns rhythm not from records, but from factory machines, from trains passing through the rail yard, industrial noise, irregular intervals. And that did something to the way he played drums. He played in a way that nobody's really ever played. In 1969, he's in James Brown's studio, and he's improvising a 20-second drum break. They called it the funky drummer, and music research have analyzed it. They've always found that the pattern is too complicated for a human to execute consistently. The ghost notes, the micro variations. He was taking the sound of factory machines and filtering it through his own body, his own biology. That 20 seconds, that drum break became the foundation for millions and millions of dollars. It was sampled over 1,300 times. You'd think that would make him successful. He was unique. But when Clyde was dying of cancer in 2000, he was actually in financial ruin. He was a session musician, and he had never obtained the rights to his own work. So although Funky Drummer was sampled a lot, he never received a single penny. No royalties. So now he's got hospital bills. He gets a phone call. Prince actually paid his debt. Every dollar of it. They had never met each other. But Prince understood that Clyde had spent his life protecting this invisible thing that nobody could replicate, the way he drummed. That thing that lives 40 milliseconds between the grid and the human pulse. We built an entire society obsessed with the grid. We try to measure everything. But in physics, the observer effect proves you can't measure something without touching it. If you check the air pressure in a tire, you have to let a little air out. The act of measuring changes the pressure. When a musician checks their timing against a metronome, they automatically stiffen up. It's subconscious. The act of measuring organic time kills the organic part. That's why D'Angelo made his drummer, Questlove, take his headphones off during the voodoo sessions. He wanted him to play straight while the band dragged behind him. 2 time zones in one brain. In Morocco, the Nawa Ma'alim believe that very tight, closed rhythms leave no room for a life to enter. These people are revered Moroccan musicians and spiritual leaders. They blend North African, Berber, and Sufi trance music. They believe the cracks in the rhythm, the off-grid timings, are entry points for spirits. These cracks are time fractals. They sit between pure randomness and predictable patterns. It feels like tapping into magic, but it's explainable. We're recognizing self-similarity. We like the dragging beat because the beat sounds like us. It sounds like how we breathe, how we walk, how our blood flows. The grid wants your errors corrected. It wants you to run on a 1D line until you are a perfect, flawless corpse. But life is a stumble. The real groove doesn't exist on a perfect beat. It exists in the space around it, in the mud, in the friction of the universe.